Hello, and welcome to
Papi Approved Movies.
My name is Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
In our podcast, we will review and critique my favorite PG-13 movies.
Movies that I wasn't allowed to watch until I turned 13.
Every week, Natalie and I will watch a new PG-13 movie.
And I'll see if Papi's movies live up to the hype.
Which of course they will.
Today we're going to be watching Interstellar.
Before we begin, there will be spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and don't want it to be spoiled,
Press pause and come back when you're finished. Now, Papi, tell me the deets on this movie.
Okay. Interstellar came out in 2014 with a runtime of 2 hours and 49 minutes. It's streaming on Paramount+. It was written by Jonathan and Christopher Nolan and directed by Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. We already watched Inception from Christopher Nolan as well.
Yeah, we watched Inception. Both, I don't know. We'll find out if you like this movie. I love them both, so. The main stars are Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, and Jessica Chastain. Fun fact, Kip Thorne, a winner of a Nobel Prize in Physics, was in charge of making sure that the science was as real as possible. So what do you think, Nat?
I thought it was a pretty good movie. It was I don't think it was really confusing, but it was kind of a lot at times. It wasn't really a movie where you could kind of relax on your couch. You kind of had to be really focused so that you didn't really get lost.
Right, you had to pay attention. You couldn't just sit back and chill out.
Yeah, it wasn't just a chill movie. But I thought it was really cool. It was kind of fun. I didn't really like how Murphy was kind of rude to her dad, but I guess it's a very extreme situation, so it kind of makes sense. But she kind of just ignored him and didn't really talk to him or anything. As soon as he didn't believe anything she said, she hated him.
Right. She held a long grudge.
Yeah, which I thought she could have been a little nicer, because even though it was a really tough situation for her, she didn't even think about her father at all and how he might feel and anything. So I thought she was kind of just this teenage character that's rebellious and I don't really think that reflects the character she should be as well. She's supposed to be this really smart character that's trying to figure things out. Her being all angsty and stuff, I don't think that really added to the character very much.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So what did you rate it?
I gave it a 4 stars.
4 stars, all right. Finally watching a movie you kind of enjoyed. That's good.
Why don't we get into the recap?
Okay. We meet Cooper. He's a farmer, but was an engineer and a pilot for NASA. Earth's population was nearly wiped out by dust storms and famine. People are mostly farmers, and dust storms are endangering food now. Cooper lives with his daughter Murphy, his son Tom, and his father-in-law Donald. Murphy swears that a ghost is communicating with her in her dad's library. Cooper says to try to analyze what the ghost is saying. Use science to figure it out. And so he did not believe her.
Yeah, but she was still angry all the time.
Yeah. He kind of said, okay, well, there's no such thing as a ghost, so...
But you can try to figure it out.
Yeah, try to figure it out scientifically. Cooper and Murph go to school, and Cooper meets with the principal. The principal tells Cooper that Tom cannot go to college and will be a farmer. College is only available to the top students. The principal complains about Murph correcting her teachers about science. Cooper responds back angrily and gets Murph suspended. So he has her back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he doesn't, she's never grateful. And that's kind of annoying, I think.
I never thought of it from her point of view. Never thought about it from his point of view, how she was so angry. Later, a dust storm forces the family to go home. Murph accidentally leaves the library window open and the sand goes inside the house into the library in a pattern. Cooper spends the night deciphering it and realizes it's in binary code. They are map coordinates. He drives to the coordinate location and realizes that Murph snuck aboard the truck.
I noticed, I was she's gonna be in the truck, isn't she? And I saw a blanket underneath the seat with a giant lump. And now I was peculiar.
You picked up on it and you're oh, she's there.
Yeah, But I think it's funny because I feel like most movies, they would just have a bunch of stuff underwards and then put Murph after the cut. But I think she was under there like the whole time because it was like moving around.
She's a true actor, that young lady. She's like, I'm going to stay here for 1 hour during takes or something.
Yeah.
That's funny. I guess it makes it more realistic, right? Because the head shape won't be different.
But you would just think that like while he's doing the first part that there would be something in it.
Yeah,
like you see how there's like the videos where they show like all the bad cuts and stuff in movies. Like they wouldn't have one for this.
Well, at least not for that scene. You're right. Cooper and Murph get to a fenced-off location. They try to sneak in and are apprehended. Cooper's tased and is knocked out. When Cooper wakes up, a robot named Tards is asking him questions. Eventually, Amelia Brand comes in and takes Cooper into a conference room where Murph and Dr. Brand, her father, are inside. Dr. Brand was one of Cooper's old mentors. I had a hard time trying to decipher the two. First off, most of the movie, they call Amelia Dr. Brand, because she's also a doctor. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to make sure not to confuse the two. The daughter is Amelia, and then the dad, I don't even know if they have their first name in it, but we call him Dr. Brand, even though she's Dr. Brand as well. Mm-hmm. They find out that the building is a NASA base. The scientists know that Earth is doomed, and they have a plan to save humanity. Some time ago, a wormhole appeared near Saturn. They think that aliens put it there to save humanity. They sent 12 astronauts through the wormhole to 12 possible worlds.
That's very nice of the aliens. I feel like most movies give aliens we're going to take you alive and do tests on you.
Right.
But it's funny that the aliens are like, oh no, something's going wrong with Earth. Let's help them out.
Right. Unless they're like saving us to one day eat us or something. They're like, oh, we don't want that planet to go away. There's yummy food. Anyway, so they sent 12 astronauts through the wormhole for 12 possible worlds. 3 of them responded with a signal beacon. Edmund, Mann, and Miller. NASA wants Cooper to fly their spaceship to one of these 3 planets. You know, you made such a good point earlier about Murphy being such a brat. If maybe she didn't see the NASA base and meet Dr. Brand, both of them, and didn't see the spaceships, and didn't see that all of this was real, maybe she wouldn't believe her father, and then that would make her upset. You're just lying. You're not going to really do these things. But she was there, and she was at the meeting, right? She came in to the meeting, so.
And she, took a nap in Amelia's room and everything. She knew so much about this. She knew exactly where he was going and how things would be. Yet she was still, stubborn. And she was ungrateful for her dad, who was almost kind of, pressured into this position.
Right. We'll find out later.
He most likely wouldn't have done it.
He didn't want to do it.
He tried his best not to do it, but they kind of, forced him into doing it. And the fact that he was also doing it mainly to save his children's, dying Earth. Yeah. And yet she was still I hate you. I'm never talking to you again. I'm not going to say goodbye to you or anything. Yeah. People still say goodbye to their loved ones, even if they're, going on a trip or something.
Let's get to that part, because also there's a turn of events there that makes you think that she already forgave him. I don't know. Let's keep going. NASA has 2 plans. Plan A, Dr. Brand is working on an equation that would turn the NASA base into a space station and save a large amount of people. Plan B is to take human embryos to one of the 3 planets and restart civilization there and let Earth die. Cooper agrees to go to the planets in order to buy time for Dr. Brand to solve the equation. Murph is furious and thinks her dad is abandoning her. He tries to talk to her, but she won't listen. He promises to come back and gives her a watch. She even goes to the library and tells her dad that the ghost is spelling out in Morse code to stay. Cooper leaves without Murphy saying goodbye. So here's the scene. Then he drives off. Then she runs out. Oh no, she made a mistake. She runs out, goes to say goodbye or hug him or something. But he's gone by then, right? He's already down the street.
No, I think she said, she was you can't go, trying to get him to stop going.
Yeah, but she already did that.
I thought that's what she was running after it for.
That makes more sense. But it is,
that she was, mad at him and was this is your last chance, you need to come back right now, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know. I thought it was more I'm, kind of I love you, Dad, bye. Kind of she feels like she made a mistake by not saying goodbye and was going to try to say goodbye. That's what I thought it was. And then, so at that point, you would think, okay, well, now she understands. And then she spends 20 years
not talking to him. Yeah. That's exactly why I thought she was like trying to get him back. Like trying to stop him.
Makes more sense.
Oh, and plus, like the grandpa, I think, was like trying to stop her. Like, Murph, stop. But like, I don't think he would have stopped her from saying goodbye.
Oh, no, he's just, I mean, what are you going to do? Run after a truck? Yeah, like, he's just saving her emotions. Cooper, Amelia, Rom, who's a scientist, and Doyle, another one of the NASA engineers, all get onto the rocket with Tars, the robot. They attach to the space station called Endurance, and they head to the wormhole. The trip will take 2 years, and everyone goes into cryosleep to not age. That cryosleep is like a good plot device, then no one gets older. You don't have to worry about time.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to get to the wormhole. Well, where is it? It's 2 years away. So then everybody gets older 2 years. But this way, then no one gets older at all. You know?
Yeah. The actors, imagine if they actually aged. The actors, there would be like 1 million actors.
I know, right? Well, we see one of them age, but, you know, they did it with makeup and like gray hair and stuff like that. So when they awake, they go through the wormhole. Once through, they visit Miller's planet. Because of its location to Gargantua, a black hole, time there is distorted. 1 hour on the planet, it's 7 years back home.
I watched this scene in class.
Did you really?
Because we were talking about like the change of time and space. Because we were talking about how they took a picture of a black hole, and we were talking, and then like she spiraled into other stuff.
And she's like, I watched this movie I really like. Here, let me put it on for you. They plan to visit the planet very quickly and leave. Rom stays back to study Gargantua. The crew lands, and the entire planet is underwater. The beacon is on, but Miller is dead. Then a huge tidal wave comes bearing down, killing Doyle and delaying the team on the planet. This scene is Amelia's fault because she wants to get the recording device from his ship. And because of that, Doyle dies, and they get stuck on the planet. When they get back to the Endurance, Rom is 23 years older.
That part is kind of crazy to me because they said that Miller had just died. Her spacecraft has just landed. It's almost like they went back in time.
Sure.
Because her spaceship had already crashed when they were on Earth. So it was kind of weird, and they went back in time almost.
Well, no, because the time is so slow.
Yeah, and so it was strange that it's so slow and going so slow that they're like back.
Anyways, so they get back to the Endurance. 23 years has passed, and there's 23 years of messages. So Cooper watches 23 years of messages, and there's only...
Which isn't very many.
Well, we don't know how many there are. We just saw a few, and we see him break down emotionally because he sees his son grow into a man. He sees how he...
Has children, lost the children, lost the father-in-law. Has a wife.
So that's one of those emotional moments in the movie. Real beautiful. Real sad, though. On Earth, we see Murph is now working with Dr. Brand. She's an adult woman. They're working together to solve the equation from Plan A, and Tom has taken over the family farm. I don't think Murph sent a message in this section, right? I know she sends one later, which is still... So 23 years pass, plus maybe the 2 years. So maybe 25 years total has
She
passed.
sent a single video with all the other videos.
Yeah, oh, in this one, it shows that she sent a video?
Mm-hmm. Well, and she was like, I still don't forgive you, blah, blah, blah. Something like that.
She said, there's a moment where he says, when I come back, maybe we'll be the same age because of the whole time distortion.
Yeah.
And then she said, today's my birthday. We're the same age. You're not here. Like, she's still very angry 25 years later.
Yeah.
It's 23 plus the 2 years it takes to get to Saturn. So, I mean, she's still angry. And she never sent another message other than that until later she sends another one, which we'll get to. The crew's now heading to Man's planet because the beacon is still on, as opposed to Edmund's planet where the beacon is turned off. But before that, they hear a message from Murph saying that Plan A was a lie. Dr. Brand admitted on his deathbed that he figured out the equations years ago and that it's impossible without more quantum data. He lied to everyone to create fake hope so people would keep working. Murph is angry because she thinks her dad knew. And then also Cooper's angry because he thinks Amelia, Dr. Brand, knew. But she admits that she didn't know. And they're all devastated that there is actually no Plan A.
Yeah, I think this is really sad because she's like yelling at Amelia, but Amelia is just like just as heartbroken, especially since her dad's way older.
And he just died.
And he just died, and she's like digging into him, even though she doesn't know anything, that if she knows or not. And it's like another moment where it's like you're not giving time for anything, like you're not even trying to think of others or like.
Yeah, I mean, if she knew.
Like, imagine how terrible this news is also for Amelia. That one, her father died, and two, that she's been lied to go on this trip.
I mean, she thinks that Amelia knew. They thought she knew. I mean, it's her dad, right? He kept it from her too, so that's kind of a betrayal. And then if Cooper knew and left anyways, he left Earth to die.
Yeah.
And he left his children to die. And that's a huge betrayal. If she would have known that from the beginning, then I get the whole anger situation.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She just figured it out 25 years later. And then also, if Amelia knew, then Cooper would be destroyed because she's been lying to him for all this time as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, Dr. Brand, he's really a villain because he lied to everybody.
Yeah.
He did it to create this false hope. But in reality, he saved humanity that way. So I don't know. I guess what's okay or not.
But it's sad. Amelia probably went on that ship knowing she'd never see her dad again because her dad's older and this trip could be like so many years. Time is just started. And he's older, so he could probably die like soon anyways.
Well, it should only be like less than a 10-year trip. Well, no, Cooper knew that he was going to be about the same age when he came back. So he knew it was going to be like a 25-year-old trip. They never expected to spend that much time on the Miller's planet.
Yeah.
They just messed up and got caught in the tidal wave. But I don't know. That's true. You kind of, I mean, I guess it's always unsafe to go out into space and you never know what's going to happen. But anyway, so Murph is super angry because she thinks her dad knows that Plan A is not true. And he doesn't. Neither does Dr. Brand. Amelia. The crew goes to Man's planet. The plan is to set up the embryos there, and then Cooper will fly home alone. They get to the planet, and it is a frozen world. They find Man's rocket and wake him up from cryosleep. He tells everyone that the planet is safe to live on. Cooper and Man go out to do some research, and we find out the man was lying. The planet is not safe to live on, and he only turned on the beacon because he wanted to go home. He was scared to be stranded on this planet that doesn't work. Man attacks Cooper, cracking his helmet, leaving him there to die. Man then escapes off-planet to take Endurance back home. Rom dies in an explosion set by Man. Amelia saves Cooper in the rocket and they chase after Man. So a bunch of stuff's going on, a lot of action.
Yeah.
When Man tries to doctor the Endurance, it goes terribly wrong, and Man and half of the Endurance explodes. I don't know, I guess. I mean, it's selfish to think that he's like, I need to go home. I can't be left alone on this planet for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Just here to die. And so he pretended that the planet was good.
Especially since he created this whole plan, right?
Yeah, it was his plan, the Lazarus Project. I think that's the name of it.
Yeah. And he knew that he could have been sacrificing, and he was like, let's do it for science. He put all these other people in danger, and then he's going to be selfish.
Right. Well, he knew it was a one-way trip. Like, that's what they didn't have fuel to come back. They were just scouting, turn on the beacon, and then just wait there to be saved. Or, no, you get to the planet, it's not working.
Then you die.
Then you die.
And that was the plan. Yeah, he still couldn't, comprehend that, even though he made it himself.
You know, now that you mention it, did Miller do the same thing? Because that planet was not habitable either. And it was all underwater. And it wasn't like, okay, 50 years passed.
Well, I don't know.
He set the beacon. Because it was like a few hours just for him.
But, water is like life, right? And so there's, life on the planet. So I feel like that's a sign it could be habitable. Maybe
he landed. It seemed fine. And then the tidal wave started. He didn't see the tidal waves.
Yeah.
But he should have done some research. No, see, there's a plot hole right there.
Yeah.
Because he was only on that planet. I think the Lazarus Project left 10 years before.
Mm-hmm.
So he was on the planet 1 hour. 1 hour and a half, right? Because that's 7 years, 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he didn't even do any tests. And then he set the beacon up. So Miller maybe he did the same thing. I don't know. Anyway, so the Endurance explodes, or half of it does. Man kills Rom, and then it's just Amelia and Cooper. After Cooper and Amelia attach to the Endurance, they come up with a new plan. There's not enough fuel for Cooper to go home, so they will send Tarzan to Gargantua to get the data necessary to make Plan A a reality. Cooper and Amelia will use Gargantua's gravity to slingshot them to Edmund's planet, the third one. Once the planet is in motion, Cooper changes things and flies into Gargantua himself to make sure Amelia can make it to Edmund's planet. So I guess maybe the weight or something like that of the spaceship, and they kind of like help push it off, and he pushes himself off, and that's how she can safely get to the planet.
Yeah. But I think it's also like giving it more force, like the ship.
Maybe.
Pew, so that it doesn't have to use. Maybe it was going to run out of fuel.
Yeah. Maybe he knew that the plan was never going to work, but he didn't tell her because she would have been like, no. Let's not do that then. Let's figure something else out. Anyways, he sacrificed himself to make sure Amelia can still make Plan B work at Edmund's planet. If Edmund's planet works, right? We don't even know yet.
And he didn't put on his beacon.
No. Well, no. And then we'll find out why he did it. And then let's get to the end first. In Gargantua, Cooper's ship explodes and he ejects into nothingness. Eventually, he finds himself in a cube-like room which looks like the library from his house. He comes to realize that he was Murph's ghost the whole time. He was the one that sent the coordinates to Nassau. He was the one that was trying to tell himself to stay.
It was very like it was almost like an Inception movie moment. Like very intense, very like intricate. That's the word I'm thinking of. Very intricate part of the plot.
Yeah.
That like all connected everything.
Right. The whole time it was him saying stay. It was him doing the coordinates. While he's in the library, or that cube-like room, Tars tells Cooper that he has the data needed for Plan A to work. On Earth, Murph goes back to the library for a sign from her ghost. Then she figures out it was her dad the whole time. I don't know how she figured it out, but she kind of got it.
Because it's through the watch.
Yeah, but it starts... Yeah, that's right. So she starts seeing there's something on the watch. Cooper then programs the watch with the quantum information needed to help solve the equation. Murph figures it all out and eventually solves the equation.
Even though it was deemed unsolvable?
Well, he said it was unsolvable without the quantum data.
Oh, okay.
And the quantum data was in the black hole. And you'd have to sacrifice yourself to get into the black hole to get the data. Which, if they knew that, they should have done that from the beginning. Because if they were willing to sacrifice themselves, you know.
Yeah.
But Cooper does it. And then Tars gets the information. Programs it into the watch, and then Murph figures it out. Yeah. Years later, Cooper wakes up on a space station. Plan A worked, and he was brought aboard by a space ranger. He goes to a home that is a replica of his farm and awaits Murph to come and visit. Murph is now an old lady and is dying. He's about 124 years old or something like that, they said.
Yeah, but he's still fine because he was in cryo sleep, right?
He was in time distortion. So he looked exactly the same. Murph is now an old lady. When she comes, she's dying, and she's like maybe 80, 90. You know, she's an older lady. Mm-hmm. With kids, grandkids, and maybe great-grandkids, you know. They have a beautiful moment, and she encourages them to leave and go find Amelia, who landed on Edmund's planet safely. Edmund is dead, but the planet is habitable, and Cooper's on his way to get to Amelia. The end. I don't know. I love this movie. It was really good. More emotional than Inception, obviously. That one scene with the messages.
It's like a happy ending, but it's not a very happy ending. Because even though he gets to see his children, he doesn't get to spend any time with them. Especially with his son, because his son dies before that, right? Yeah. Or at least we don't see him.
Could this movie still be made today?
I think so. I think so. They didn't really have any, like, scenes where everyone was, like, being different to each other or anything. I think it could probably be made today. I do feel like the Amelia Dr. Brand was, like, they made her this very strong character, but then they made her mess up, and then they made her try to fix things, but they only made her try to fix things through, like, love and not logic. And I thought that was kind of like making women be like, oh, they're emotional. Almost. There is a scene that we didn't talk about where they were deciding which planet to go to next after Miller's, Edmund's, or Mann's.
and she decides she wants to go to Edmonds. They outvote her. They go to Mans instead. But the reason she wanted to go to Edmonds is because she and Edmonds were in love at one time.
And I thought that plot line was very random, and I don't think it was very necessary.
And yeah, it wasn't really necessary because she's a scientist above all.
Yeah.
Right? She would have been like, no, the beacon is on in one, and the beacon is off on the other. Now, she ends up being right.
Yeah.
Right? The love connects it. Because there's that kind of, I think...
The message.
Yeah, the message that love kind of unites all things, and through love, you can... But it's kind of weird that in this really high science movie that they do something a little too kind of cheesy,
Yeah.
Where she's right because love brought her there, but it was not.
And it's out of character for Amelia to do that. And I think I'm not sure if it was because she was a woman, but they tried to make her like overly emotional, maybe. That she's like, oh, she's a scientist, but she's too emotional. She got them into trouble, and now she's trying to do this thing because she's in love with this guy.
Well, she got them into trouble because of the science. So, you know what I mean? Like, because she wanted the recorder. She made a bad judgment, but it was based upon trying to get more information.
Yeah, and then they added this like love story, and I thought it was very random.
Yeah, I thought so too. All right. Anything else about not being made today?
No.
All right. Does it pass the Bechdel test?
No, not that either.
No, it does not. All right. The Bechdel test is a test to check for female representation in movies. There are 3 criteria. The first criteria is there are 2 named females in the movie.
Yes, there's Murph. There's Amelia. The guy's wife. I don't think she really counts.
Well, yeah, she's not featured, but she is named. There's a name. I don't remember what it is.
It's Lewis, I think.
Okay, there you go. All right, so to name females, correct, check. Number 2, do they talk to each other?
Not really. I know that Murph doesn't talk to Amelia. They talk off camera, like they explain that, like, oh, I talked to Murph, she's gonna take a nap in my room, or like, Murph is very intelligent. And technically, they did talk through that recording where Murph is like yelling at Amelia and goes, Amelia, you knew, didn't you?
Yeah, but
she doesn't really talk. Plus, they were talking about how they were mostly talking to like her dad.
Yeah, I would say they didn't talk. Other than the one off camera, because there was an interaction that they had, because they ended up knowing about her because they captured her. They kidnapped her, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say no. So no, it does not pass the Bechdel test.
Murph also talks to the wife, but like they're talking about the son and how he's like dying because his lungs are going. The second son.
Yeah, but not another female character.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Also, I thought it was kind of funny that I put in here, and I said something about an iPhone and in space, and I thought, like, with all the time distortion, would the iPhone just stay on, like, whatever time zone that they were in before, or, like, in space, would it slowly corrupt, or would it just turn into whatever time it would be on space with the distortion?
Well, there's no cell phone towers out there, so I think, like, if you're in airplane mode, then the time just stays the same.
Yeah.
Wherever you are. So, like, it wouldn't have changed. I think it would have been the same. And then you turn on the, the Wi-Fi and they go, like 25 years past the time phone, I guess. I don't know. That'd be kind of funny to see. All right. Anything else?
No.
Thank you for tuning in to Papi Approved Movies.
If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app.
We put out an episode every Monday. If you want to suggest a movie for us to watch and critique,
email us at papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com.
That's papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com. No spaces, no caps.
We'll try our best to get to your suggestion.
And remember, it has to be PG-13.
Next week, we're watching Miss Congeniality, so I hope you join us.
I'm Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
See you next time.
Bye!